The Fantastic Four. They are Marvel Comics' first superhero team. They made their debut in the Fantastic Four 1 in 1961. The team's original lineup consists of 4 individuals who gain superpowers after being exposed to cosmic rays during a scientific mission to outer space. Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, aka Invisible Woman, Joni Storm, aka the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, aka the Thing. Reed Richards is a scientific genius, can stretch his body into incredible lengths and shapes. Sue Storm is his wife. She has the ability to become invisible and later develops the power to generate force fields. Her brother, Joni Storm, can engulf his body in flames, fly, and control fire. Ben Grimm is Reed's best friend and a former college football star and pilot, who transforms into a rock-like creature with superhuman strength known as the Thing. The Fantastic Four is not just a team but also a close-knit family. Their stories combine superhero antics with soap opera-like drama, exploring themes of family, responsibility, and humanity. The team often confronts their arch-enemy Doctor Doom, a brilliant twisted scientist and ruler of Latveria, whose rivalry with Reed Richards fuels many other conflicts. And over the decades, the Fantastic Four has been involved in some of Marvel's most significant storylines, including the discovery of the Negative Zone, encounters with the alien Skrulls and Kree, and pivotal roles in events like Civil War and Secret Wars. Their explorations and adventures often bring them into the broader cosmic landscape of the Marvel Universe, where they interact with entities like the Silver Surfer and Galactus, the planet-eating Titan. Their influence extends beyond comics into animated series and movies, and although some of them have seen mixed success, they remain an integral part of the Marvel's legacy. The Frightful Four. They were introduced in Fantastic Four 36 in 1965 as the villainous mirror image of the Fantastic Four. The team was originally formed by the Wizard, a genius inventor and strategist who believed that the best way to defeat the Fantastic Four was to create a team with powers that could rival them directly. With that, he gathered a group of dangerous criminals and superpowered individuals who each brought their own unique strengths to the table. The original lineup of the Frightful Four included the Wizard, Sandman, Spot Pete, later known as Trapster, and Medusa. Sandman, already known as a foe of Spider-Man, Spot Pete was a chemist who used powerful adhesives as weapons. Medusa, who at the time had amnesia and was manipulated into joining the team, used her prehensile hair as a weapon, although she would later become a key member of the Inhumans and ally of the heroes. And actually, the Frightful Four's first attack on the Fantastic Four was surprisingly effective and established them as a serious threat in the Marvel Universe. And what made the Frightful Four unique among villain teams was their recurring theme of being a twisted reflection of their heroic counterparts. The Wizard, for instance, saw himself as a darker version of Reed Richards, using his intellect not for innovation or protection, but for manipulation and domination. And their battles weren't just about brute force, they involved psychological warfare, cunning plans, and surprise assaults that often left the Fantastic Four struggling to keep up. Their use of technology, deception, and raw power made them persistent and unpredictable. Over time, the lineup of the Frightful Four has changed many times, with new members rotating in and out depending on the Wizard's plans. Notable additions included Hydro Man, Titania, Claw, and even Deadpool at one point. Each new version of the team brought its own flair, but the core concept remained the same. While they never reached the same iconic status as teams like the Sinister Six or Masters of Evil, the Frightful Four have remained a constant thorn in the side of Marvel heroes. The Avengers. They are by far the most iconic superhero team in the Marvel Universe. Created by writer Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby, the team debuted in the Avengers 1 in 1963. Originally comprising Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, the Avengers formed to combat threats no single hero could withstand, and over time, the roster has expanded to include a vast array of heroes like Captain America, Black Widow, and Vision, among other ones. Multiple teams use the name Avengers, such as the West Coast Avengers, Young Avengers, Great Lakes Avengers, and even the Pet Avengers, ensuring that their stories are continually evolving and never dull. And thanks to this diversity, the Avengers have been known as the Earth's mightiest heroes. They are frequently facing iconic villains like Thanos, Loki, Ultron, and so many others throughout the years. They have profoundly impacted both the Marvel Universe and pop culture at large, standing as a cornerstone of superhero media, as their influence extends beyond the comic book pages into blockbuster films, merchandise, and even theme park attractions, epitomizing the superhero team dynamic. And their narrative of diverse personalities uniting against common threats has resonated deeply with audiences, promoting themes of teamwork and justice. And their cinematic portrayal has set the standard for superhero ensemble casts, catalyzing the launch of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which revolutionized Hollywood's approach to franchise storytelling and shared universes. The team's adaptability to various social and political climates has kept them relevant and beloved by generations, underscoring their enduring appeal and cultural significance. The Revengers. They are what happens when the Avengers are completely stripped of their humanity, morality, and even their mortality. They come from the Cancerverse, a twisted, deathless reflection of the Marvel Universe, where life has won true completely. In that reality, death itself has been destroyed, and in her absence, everything festers and mutates endlessly. The heroes of that world were corrupted by the dark gods known as the Many-Angeled Ones. The result was the birth of the Revengers, monstrous, immortal versions of Earth's mightiest heroes. Led by a resurrected Lord Marvel, once a noble Captain Marvel, the Revengers became the shock troops of the Cancerverse. Each of them is a grotesque reflection of a hero we know. They still wear the symbols of heroism, but their bodies and souls have been consumed by the parasitic will of the Many-Angeled Ones. Flesh melts with armor, veins pulse with cosmic rot, and every Avenger becomes a zealot worshipping an endless life that cannot die. They don't save universes, they infect them. When a chair between dimensions opened thanks to a chi bomb, the Revengers followed Lord Marvel through it, ready to conquer Earth 616 and spread their undying plague to a world still ruled by death. Their invasion was one of the most horrific in cosmic history. Marvel and his Revengers slaughtered everything that opposed them, until Thanos, the one being who truly understood death's importance, entered the Cancerverse. In his arrogance, Marvel killed Thanos, thinking he destroyed a threat. Instead, that act broke the cosmic balance, allowing Earth 616 Death to finally enter the Cancerverse. Death swept through that realm like a silent plague, erasing every undying creature, including the Revengers themselves, in an instant. But Death doesn't stick in the Cancerverse. The Revengers were reborn just as corrupted and hateful as before. They hunted for a cosmic cube in hopes for invading the main Marvel universe again, clashing repeatedly with Nova, Star-Lord, and even Thanos himself. They couldn't die, but they could kill, and they slaughtered Ryder over and over, each resurrection more painful than the last. Eventually Nova sacrificed everything, the Nova Force, the World Mind, and even himself, to seal the Cancerverse off once again. Still the Revengers endured, forever trapped in a dimension where nothing truly ends, waiting for another doorway back to reality. In later stories, the Revengers even allied with the Void, posing as the Sentry, to attack the Negative Zone, proving that their hunger for conquest never faded. They are not heroes, not even villains in the usual sense. They are a cosmic disease. The Avengers fight to save life. The Revengers fight to make a twisted immortality where everything lives, grows, and rots forever. Young Avengers. They were conceived as a younger counterpart to the Avengers and first appeared in Young Avengers 1 in 2005. The series has been noted for its fresh take on the superhero genre, and their stories often focus on the challenges of living up to the legacy of the Avengers while carving out their own identities. The series has been praised for its character development, narrative depth, and for providing a platform for diverse stories. The original lineup of the team includes Iron Lad, a younger version of Kang the Conqueror, who seeks to avoid becoming his future self. There's also Teddy Altman, aka Hulkling, a shape-shifting hybrid of Kree and Skrull heritage who later becomes significant in intergalactic politics. Billy Kaplan, aka Wiccan, a sorcerer with powers similar to Scarlet Witch, who is later revealed to be one of her reincarnated sons. Ellie Bradley, aka Patriot, the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, the Black Captain America, who initially uses performance-enhancing drugs to match his grandfather's powers, but later receives a blood transfusion that gives him genuine superpowers. Kate Bishop, a skilled archer who adopts the Hawkeye name after Clint Barton, and Cassie Lang, aka Sacher, the daughter of Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, who inherits the ability to change her size. And over time, of course, the roster has evolved to include other characters like Kid Loki, America Chavez, and Novar, Marvel Boy. The Young Avengers have yet to be featured as a group in either a major film or a TV show, because several characters have already appeared in various MCU projects, like Cassie Lang in the Ant-Man films, Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, and America Chavez in the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Wiccan in Agatha All Along, and many others. So we'll see how that's gonna turn out. The Dark Avengers. They are a group of villains posing as heroes, and as the name suggests, they were impersonating heroes who have been part of the Avengers or associated with them. They first appeared in Dark Avengers 1 in 2009, during the Dark Reign storyline. This team was founded by Norman Osborn, formerly known as the Green Goblin, who rebranded himself as the Iron Patriot, after he was appointed the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., which he renamed Hammer. Osborn's creation of the Dark Avengers was part of his broader strategy to replace traditional superheroes with his own controlled versions, following the public's shaken trust in superheroes after the Secret Invasion event. where Earth was nearly conquered by the shape-shifting alien Skrulls. The Dark Avengers roster is primarily composed of Norman Osborn, taking on a role similar to Iron Man and Captain America. Osborn leads the team while wearing a suit of armor styled after the heroes. Bullseye posing as Hawkeye, known for his deadly accuracy. Moonstone as Carol Danvers. She uses her powers to mimic the appearance and abilities of Carol Danvers. Venom McGargan as Spider-Man, the former Scorpion and host to the Venom symbiote. Daken as Wolverine, his Wolverine's son, who possesses similar powers and poses as his father. Ares and Sentry, two actual superpowered beings who joined the team not under false pretenses, but because of their own reasons, often manipulated by Osborn. The Dark Avengers were mostly Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts cosplaying as the Avengers. They were part of several key Marvel storylines, showcasing a team that, while publicly operating as heroes, engaged in morally shady activities that served Osborn's interests and the broader goals of Hammer. And the series explored themes of power, corruption, and identity, and it delved into how public perception can be manipulated and the ethical boundaries of using power under the guise of heroism. The team eventually fell apart due to internal betrayals and the unraveling of Osborn's mental state, alongside external pressures from the remaining true heroes and government oversight. This concept has been revisited in various forms within the comics, each iteration exploring the consequences of villains operating as heroes and the complex dynamics such a premise entails. Their storylines offer a critical look at the nature of heroism and villainy, making them a fascinating, darker counterpart to traditional superhero teams. The New Warriors, a young, energetic group that first appeared in the Mighty Thor 411 in 1989, before getting their own series New Warriors in 1990. The New Warriors were initially formed as a team of young heroes who wanted to make a difference without the oversight of established hero organizations. Unlike the X-Men who focused on mutant issues, or the Avengers who dealt with world-ending threats, the New Warriors often took on street-level villains, environmental concerns, and social issues while balancing their personal lives as young adults. Key members of the original team, there is Night Thrasher, a Batman-like vigilante with no superpowers but extensive combat skills and advanced technology and wealth. Richard Rider aka Nova, a cosmic-powered hero and former member of the Nova Corps with super strength, flight and energy projection. Angelica Jones aka Firestar, a mutant who can manipulate microwave radiation, originally introduced in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Robbie Baldwin aka Speedball, a fun-loving hero with kinetic energy-based bouncing powers. Namorita Prentice, a clone of Namora with Atlantean physiology, super strength and aquatic abilities. And Vance Astrovik aka Marvel Boy, a telekinetic hero who later takes the name Justice and joins the Avengers. The early New Warriors stories featured the team battling threats like Terrax and the corrupt Taylor Foundation, while also dealing with personal struggles such as relationships, trauma, and ethical dilemmas. The team became central to Marvel's Civil War event when a new lineup of New Warriors, including Speedball, filmed a reality TV show where they confronted villains. This led to the infamous Stamford incident, with their battle with Nitro resulted in an explosion that killed 600 people, including children, and this tragedy sparked the Superhero Registration Act, leading to Civil War. And post-Civil War, Speedball, racked with guilt, took on the persona Penance, wearing a pain-inflicting suit as a form of atonement. And later versions of the team included Scarlet Spider, Hummingbird and Sungirl, and others, expanding their lineup and focus. And fun fact, a live-action New Warriors TV show was in development, featuring Milana Weintraub as Squirrel Girl, but it was eventually cancelled before airing. But she's voicing her now in Marvel Rivals. Hellions. Originally, they were a rival team to the New Mutants and served as students of the Massachusetts Academy, which was run by the telepathic villain Emma Frost. The original Hellions weren't exactly evil. They were young mutants being trained by someone with questionable morals, and this made them more complex than typical villains. They weren't looking to destroy the world, they were just on the wrong side of ideological divide. The original team included characters like Jetstream, Chariot, Cat's Eye, Empath, Thunderbird, and Roulette. Each had unique abilities and distinct personalities, and many were more sympathetic than they first appeared. Some were manipulated by Emma Frost, while others genuinely believed they were doing the right thing, and their clashes with the New Mutants were often filled with tension, emotion, and even romantic subplots. Tragically, most of the original members were killed during the crossover storyline X-Men The Phalanx Covenant and other later events. Their deaths haunted both the X-Men and Emma Frost, especially once she herself joined the X-Men and began monitoring new students. Emma's guilt over their deaths became an important part of her character development. Later, the name Hellions Aliens was reused multiple times. One version in the 2000s featured a new team of young mutants at the Xavier Institute, also led by Emma Frost, but this time as heroes in training. Another more recent and radically different version appeared during the Dawn of X era, where the Hellions were reimagined as Black Ops team of unstable mutants, tasked with cleaning up Krakoa's messes. This lineup included wildcards like Psylocke, Havoc, Nanny and Orphan Maker, Empath, and Wild Child. So whether they are misguided teenagers, fallen students, or misfit anti-heroes, the Hellions always explore themes of identity, loyalty, and second chances. They may not be as flashy or destructive as other villain teams, but they are often more personal, grounded, and tragic, which is why their legacy keeps returning in new forms. SHIELD. It's a fictional espionage and law enforcement agency that first appeared in Strange Tales 135 in 1965, and it is known for its role in dealing with paranormal and superhuman threats. SHIELD was originally conceived as an extension of the United States military and the United Nations, tasked with defending the world from both domestic and extraterrestrial threats. And under the leadership of its most famous director, Nick Fury, the agency operates from various secret bases around the world, including a notable airborne carrier known as the Helicarrier. SHIELD is characterized by its use of cutting-edge technology, as the organization employs various high-tech vehicles, weaponry, and communications devices, as well as advanced espionage techniques. In the Marvel Universe, the organization plays a central role in numerous story arcs, often interacting with superheroes and influencing major events, and its agents are depicted as highly trained operatives capable of handling both superhuman and conventional challenges. SHIELD has been a prominent feature in many Marvel adaptations, especially within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In the MCU, SHIELD is initially portrayed as a secretive organization, with its activities and the character of Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, becoming a unifying element across the various films. And the TV series Agents of SHIELD further explores the organization's impact on the world and its dynamics with different characters and threats. But that show is not canon to the MCU anymore. Hydra. It's a fictional terrorist organization, often depicted as a major antagonist to both individual superheroes and larger groups like the Avengers and SHIELD. The group was created by writer Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby, first appearing in Strange Tales 135 in 1965. Hydra's origins are tied to its portrayal as a remnant of the Nazi regime, evolving over decades into a distinct entity with the motto Hail Hydra, and an ideology focused on achieving world domination through terrorists and subversive activities. It's known for its secretive operations and its structure resembling a multi-headed serpent. If one head is cut off, two more shall take its place, symbolizing the organization's resilience and its ability to regenerate and expand despite setbacks. This metaphorical resilience is matched by its literal ability in the comics, as Hydra often returns stronger with new leadership and strategies even after major defeats. They are known for their use of advanced technologies and biological weaponry, and Hydra often employs cutting-edge science and technology to further its goals. Leadership within Hydra has varied, with figures such as Baron Wolfgang von Strucker and the Red Skull, and these leaders often pursue their visions for the organization, which usually involve authoritarian control over the world's governments through force, manipulation, or infiltration. Its significant presence in the MCU has also cemented its status as a key player in Marvel's storytelling landscape. In the MCU, Hydra was secretly embedded within SHIELD, culminating the events of Captain America the Winter Soldier, where their existence and infiltration were publicly exposed, leading to the disbanding of SHIELD. But no matter the form of media, their ultimate goal is global domination through overthrow of existing governments and institutions, and they believe in the necessity of tyrannical control to bring order to a chaotic world. The Inhumans. They were first introduced in Fantastic Four 45 in 1965. They are a race of genetically altered human beings who have developed superhuman abilities due to exposure to the Terrigen mists, a vapor emanating from the Terrigen crystals which are central to Inhuman culture. They live in the hidden city of Attilan, originally located on an island in the Atlantic Ocean, and later relocated to the Moon and then back to Earth. Their society is structured as a caste system, where each member's role is determined by the abilities they gain after exposure to the Terrigen mists during a coming-of-age ritual. The most prominent members of the group are the royal family, which includes Black Bolt, the king of the Inhumans, whose voice can unleash incredibly destructive shockwaves with the slightest whisper. He typically remains silent to avoid causing unintentional damage. There's also Medusa, Black Bolt's wife and queen, who has the ability to control and elongate her hair with great strength and precision. Crystal, Medusa's sister, who can manipulate the 4 classical elements, air, fire, water and earth. Karnak, a cousin who has the ability to see the flaw in everything, allowing him to deliver devastating strikes and solve complex problems. Gorgon, another cousin who has hooves instead of feet and can generate seismic shockwaves by stomping the ground. Triton, Gorgon's brother who is adapted to live underwater and appears more fish-like. And Maximus, Black Bolt's brother, often the antagonist who has strong mental manipulation powers and aspirations to overthrow Black Bolt and take the throne for himself. Their storyline often revolves around themes of genetic ethics, isolationism versus interventionism, and the responsibilities of rulers versus the needs of their people. They frequently come into conflict with the rest of the world due to their secretive nature and the powerful implications of their technology and powers. In addition to their comic book appearances, the Inhumans have been featured in a live-action TV show and various animated series, with Black Bolt also showing up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as a member of the Illuminati before dying by the hands of the Scarlet Witch. The Eternals. They are a race of immortal beings in the Marvel Comics universe, created by Jack Kirby, and first appearing in The Eternals 1 in 1967. They are the result of genetic experiments on early humans by the Celestials, a powerful cosmic entities. The Celestials intended to create a group of protectors for Earth, who would safeguard the planet from threats, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. Two of their key characteristics is immortality and powers, whether it's superhuman strength, flight, or the ability to project cosmic energy in various forms. And they can also manipulate matter to some degree, which varies from one Eternal to another. Their members include Icarus, who's often seen as the leader. He has the typical range of eternal powers, but at a higher level. He can fly, project energy, and is incredibly strong. Circe, known for her love of humanity. She has the ability to manipulate matter, transforming one substance into another. There's also Athena, a fierce warrior that can form weapons out of cosmic energy and is a skilled combatant. Ajax, the spiritual leader of the Eternals, and can communicate with the Celestials, and Gilgamesh, the strongest of the Eternals, and he is known for his incredible strength and fighting ability. Like I said, the Eternals were designed to be the defenders of Earth, and they often find themselves in conflict with the Deviants, another race created by the Celestials, marked by genetic instability and monstrous appearances. They have a complex society with a rich history that spans thousands of years. They have their own traditions, laws, and hierarchies. They are divided into various factions based on their philosophies towards their responsibilities, with some taking an active role in guiding humanity and others preferring to remain hidden. They made their cinematic debut in the MCU with the 2021 film Eternals. The film expanded on their background, providing a broader context for their existence within the MCU, and exploring their relationships and moral dilemmas. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, commonly known simply as the Brotherhood, is a group of mutants known primarily as antagonists to the X-Men. The Brotherhood was first introduced in X-Men 4 in 1964. The group was founded by Magneto, a powerful mutant with the ability to manipulate magnetic fields, who believes in mutant supremacy over humans. So the group's founding philosophy is rooted in Magneto's beliefs that mutants are superior to humans and should inherit the Earth. And this ideology often puts them at odds with the X-Men, who strive for peaceful coexistence between mutants and humans. And over the years, the Brotherhood's roster and objectives has shifted, but their core mission and advocating for mutant dominance remains consistent. Notable members include Magneto, the leader and often the driving force behind the group's actions, Mystique, a shapeshifter who can mimic the appearance and voice of any person, Toad, possesses enhanced agility and a prehensile tongue, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Initially members, they are Magneto's children who possesses reality-altering powers and super speed respectively, but they later defect to join the Avengers. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants hasn't been a staple in Marvel and comes and goes depending on the direction of X-Men comic storylines. Throughout its history, the Brotherhood has undergone several iterations with changing memberships, including times when it operated under different names like Freedom Force, the Acolytes. These changes often reflected shifts in leadership and strategy, adapting to new realities and challenges in the mutant and human worlds. So the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants serves as a critical narrative tool within the Marvel Universe, exploring themes of prejudice, radicalization, and the consequences of extremist views in the fight for civil rights. And their actions pose moral and ethical questions about freedom and security, and the nature of power, making them one of the most complex and enduring elements in the stories of the X-Men. The X-Men. They are a team of superheroes created by writer Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby, and they first appeared in X-Men 1 in 1963. Unlike traditional superheroes, the X-Men are mutants, a subspecies of humans born with superhuman abilities, which manifest at puberty. They are often shunned by society due to their mutations, making them symbols for broader themes of prejudice and intolerance. The X-Men were founded by Professor Charles Xavier, a powerful telepath. He created the Xavier School for gifted youngsters to serve as a safe haven where mutants can learn to control their powers and coexist peacefully with humans. The original team consisted of Cyclops, Beast, Iceman, Angel, and Jean Grey. And over the years, the roster has expanded significantly to include many well-known characters, such as Wolverine, Storm, Rogue, Gambit, and Nightcrawler, and each character has his own unique ability and fighting style. The team's primary adversary is Magneto, a mutant with power to manipulate magnetic fields, who often serves as a complex antagonist with his philosophy that mutants should dominate over humans as the superior species, and this conflict between Xavier's vision for peaceful coexistence and Magneto's militant approach towards mutant supremacy is a central theme of the X-Men series. Their comics have explored various complex issues such as racism, bigotry, and other social injustices, and they have also been adapted into a successful film series, various television shows, and like the Avengers, the team has significantly impacted pop culture and remain one of Marvel's most beloved and enduring properties. The New Mutants. They are a team of young mutants serving as a junior counterpart to the more established X-Men, and they first appeared in Marvel Graphic Novel 4 in 1982. They were initially a group of teenage mutants training at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, learning to cope with their mutant powers while facing the typical challenges of adolescence. The original lineup of the New Mutants includes Cannonball, known for his ability to propel himself through the air like a human rocket, while being invulnerable when doing so. Wolfsbane, a Scottish mutant who can transform into a wolf or into a transitional state between human and wolf. Mirage, a Cheyenne mutant with the power to create illusions, drawn from the fears and desires of a person's mind. Sunspot, a Brazilian mutant with the ability to absorb and channel solar power. And Karma, the first team leader who has the ability to possess other people's bodies. Over the years, the team's roster has expanded to include other members such as Magic, Warlock, and Magma, among others. And the New Mutants have been involved in various significant story arcs, dealing with issues ranging from teenage angst and cultural identity to more extensive conflicts involving time travel, alien encounters, and interdimensional threats. So their stories often explore themes of growth, belonging, and reflecting the struggles of adolescence through the lens of mutant experience. The team has been adapted into various media, most notably a live-action film adaptation back in 2020 called The New Mutants. The film presents a horror-infused take on the team's origin story, focusing on the characters discovering their abilities while held in a secret facility. And the film was the final X-Men movie released under 20th Century Fox before the studio was acquired by Disney in 2019. The Hellfire Club is a fictional secret society featured primarily as adversaries of the X-Men, created by writer Chris Claremont and artist John Byrne. The club first appeared in The Uncanny X-Men 129 in 1980. It is depicted as an elite social organization consisting of the world's wealthy and powerful figures who seek to influence global events to their advantage. The organization drew its name and certain elements from the historical Hellfire Clubs of 18th century Britain and Ireland, which were known for their corrupted activities and rumored occult practices. The club is structured with a hierarchy resembling that of chess pieces, with key roles including the Black King, White King, Black Queen, and White Queen, among others. And these titles often represent the leaders of the club, each wielding considerable power both within the organization and in external business or political sectors. Notable members of the club include Sebastian Shaw, often serving as the Black King. Shaw possesses the ability to absorb kinetic energy and use it to increase his strength, and he is a central figure in many of the club's machinations. Emma Frost. She is a powerful telepath and later becomes a significant figure in the X-Men universe. Her complex relationship with the X-Men and her dual roles highlight the blurred line between villain and ally. Jean Grey, temporarily manipulated into becoming the Black Queen, which plays a pivotal role in the Dark Phoenix saga, one of the most celebrated story arcs in X-Men history, which showed how easily they can influence mutants to their bidding and entertain them. The club's goal typically revolve around economic gain, political influence, and sometimes mutant supremacy, and depending on the members' alignment and personal ambitions, they often come into conflict with the X-Men, especially when their plans threaten the wider mutant community or global stability. and they have been featured in various media adaptations, including the animated X-Men series and the film X-Men First Class, where their early days and impact from historical events are explored. In these adaptations, the club's blend of historical, aristocratic elements with modern corporate strategies and mutant powers provides a rich backdrop for storytelling, adding layers to their interactions with the heroes of the X-Men universe. Overall, the Hellfire Club represents a powerful cabal that changed the X-Men, not just with physical threats, but also through social and political machinations. Secret Avengers. It's a covert operations superhero team first appearing in Secret Avengers 1 in 2010. And unlike the traditional Avengers, this team operates in the shadows, engaging in espionage, black ops, and high-stakes missions that require secrecy and precision. The Secret Avengers were formed by Steve Rogers after the events of Siege, during a time where he was no longer wearing the Captain America mantle, and it was created to handle threats that required discretion, operating outside the public eye to prevent large-scale disasters before they could happen. And their missions often involve infiltration, sabotage, and intelligence gathering. The team has had multiple iterations with different lineups depending on the mission and leadership. The first roster was led by Steve Rogers. He was the leader and strategist, stepping into a different role post-Captain America, and the roster also included Black Widow, Moon Knight, Beast, War Machine, Valkyrie the Asgardian warrior, and Eric O'Grady aka Ant-Man. And Hawkeye and Black Widow took charge during later iterations, focusing more on intelligence and stealth. And Nick Fury and Maria Hill have occasionally directed the team during missions involving global espionage, with Flash Thompson aka Agent Venom and Bucky Barnes aka Winter Soldier joined in later versions, further emphasizing the team's Black Ops identity. The comic series Secret Avengers that ran from 2010 to 2013 focused on global threats, including a conspiracy involving the Serpent Crown and clashes with rogue organizations like the Shadow Council. And in Avengers Standoff, the team plays a role in uncovering and dealing with S.H.I.E.L.D's controversial Pleasant Hill prison project. And in Secret Empire, the Secret Avengers continue to operate against Hydra when Steve Rogers, altered by the Cosmic Cube, takes over the US government. So this team deal with grey morality, covert operations, and espionage-heavy storytelling, and their work often involves deception, deep cover missions, and tackling threats that can't be handled in the public eye. And the tone of their comics often blends superhero action with spy, thriller elements. And while the Secret Avengers have not appeared as a standalone team in the MCU, several elements of their stories have influenced films like Captain America the Winter Soldier, where characters like Black Widow, Steve Rogers, and Falcon operate in secrecy, and the concept of a Shadow Avengers team also aligns with the projects like Thunderbolts. Avengers Academy. It's not your typical Marvel team, it's more of a class. Let me explain. So the Avengers Academy is a Marvel Comics series that debuted in 2010. It follows a group of young superhumans recruited by the Avengers to be trained as the next generation of heroes. However, unlike previous superhero training initiatives and traditional superhero school stories, such as Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, these students are chosen not because of their potential for heroism, but because they are at risk of becoming future supervillains. And the story takes a darker, more psychological approach, and they constantly question whether they are truly heroes or just being manipulated to avoid becoming villains. So after the events of Dark Reign and Siege, Norman Osborn had experimented on and manipulated young superhumans as part of his initiative program. And once he was defeated, the Avengers, led by Hank Pym, Tigra, Quicksilver, Justice, and Speedball, formed Avengers Academy to help rehabilitate and guide these at-risk youth toward heroism, because the instructors feared that these students might become villains if they don't receive proper training and guidance, creating a tense and morally complex dynamic. The initial class consists of Humberto Lopez, aka Reptile, a teenager with the power to transform into dinosaurs, often struggling with his instincts; Jean Foucault, aka Finesse, a polymath and expert combatant suspected of being Taskmaster's daughter; Brandon Sharp, aka Stryker, a lightning-powered teen who hides deep insecurities under arrogance; Jennifer Chiquira, a girl with shocks and radiation abilities, forced to wear a containment suit; Ken Mack, aka Metal, a kind-hearted surfer whose skin was turned into unbreakable metal; and Marilyn Berry, aka Vale, a girl with the power to turn into gas, but at the cost of her lifespan. Later, other young heroes like White Tiger, X-23, and Lightspeed joined the Academy. So obviously later on in the series, the students discovered that they weren't picked because of their heroic potential, but because the Avengers feared they could become villains, and this revelation shakes their trust in their mentors. And in the Fear Itself crossover, the Academy faces its first major crisis, as the Serpent's War tests their resolve as heroes. And in the Hybrid threat, the students must face Hybrid, a deadly alien mutant hybrid who challenges their moral limits. Comes the Avengers vs. X-Men event, the students must decide where they stand in the Avengers vs. X-Men conflict, causing rifts within the Academy. And a mobile game based on the concept was released in 2016, featuring an alternate reality where young versions of Marvel heroes attend this academy. And though the series ended after 39 issues, it remains one of Marvel's most unique takes on the superhero training concept. It introduced complex young heroes, many of whom still appear in modern comics, and challenged the idea that superhero mentoring is always ethical. And to this day, Avengers Academy is still regarded as one of Marvel's most underrated superhero school stories, and one of Marvel's most beloved stories, setting the foundation for future young hero teams like the Champions. The Thunderbolts. They are a team of reformed villains who masquerade as heroes or perform heroic acts either for redemption or for more covert, self-serving goals. They were first introduced in The Incredible Hulk 449 in 1997, and the original Thunderbolts were formed in the aftermath of the Onslaught saga, where many of Earth's primary heroes were believed dead. So Baron Zemo seized that opportunity and formed the Thunderbolts, initially posing as heroes to fill the void and ultimately planning to use this as leverage for world domination. However, as the team gained public trust and admiration, many of its members grew to like their new roles as genuine heroes, leading to an internal conflict and a split with Zemo. As of their key members, there's Baron Zemo, of course. Like I said, he is the original leader and under the guise of Citizen V. There's also Carla Sofen, aka Moonstone. She's a psychologist and manipulator with superhuman strength and flight. Norbert Ebersol, aka Fixer, a genius-level engineer and inventor responsible for much of the team's technology. Melissa Gold, aka Songbird, she has the ability to generate sound waves and constructs. And Abner Jenkins, aka Mac X, a pilot and engineer with a suit that grants him flight and enhanced combat capabilities. Over time, the lineup and motivations of the team have shifted, including stints led by Norman Osborn during the Dark Reign storyline, where the group was repurposed as a Black Ops government team. Later versions of the team included anti-heroes and even some stalwart heroes, like Red Hulk Thunderbolts, Hawkeye's Thunderbolts, and the Winter Soldier Thunderbolts. So the complexity of their stories makes them suitable for nuanced portrayals, exploring the gray areas between heroism and villainy. The Marauders. They made their first appearance in Uncanny X-Men 210. They were introduced during the lead-up to one of the darkest storylines in X-Men history, the Mutant Massacre. The Marauders were a group of ruthless mutant assassins assembled by Mr. Sinister, tasked with wiping out the Morlocks, a community of outcast mutants living in the sewers beneath New York City. Their arrival marked a dramatic shift in the tone of the X-Men comics, pushing the violence and stakes to new levels. The original lineup of the Marauders included deadly figures like Sabretooth, Scalp Hunter, Arclight, Vertigo, Riptide, Harpoon, Scrambler, and Prism. Each member brought a unique and lethal ability to the team, and together, they proved themselves as one of the deadliest mutant strike forces ever assembled. And the Mutant Massacre saw them kill hundreds of Morlocks and severely injure key X-Men, including Angel, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. A horrifying twist about the Marauders is how Mr. Sinister used cloning technology to ensure they were practically immortal. Even after being killed, he could resurrect them through clones, allowing them to return again and again, more ruthless than before. And this not only made them harder to defeat, but it made them weapons manufactured for endless slaughter in the name of Sinister's twisted experiments. And with that, they have returned many times over the years, often with updated rosters or new missions. They've clashed with various teams of X-Men, and have even been manipulated by other villains like Madeline Pryor and the Red Queen. And while the name Marauders was later used for a heroic team during the Dawn of X era, led by Kitty Pryde and focusing on mutant rescue missions, their roles in the Mutant Massacre left scars on the X-Men both physically and emotionally, and they continue to embody one of the darkest chapters in the ongoing struggle between mutants and those who seek to manipulate or destroy them. The Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They are the personal enforcers of Apocalypse, and first introduced in X-Factor 15 in 1986. The concept of the Horsemen draws heavily from the biblical four horsemen of the apocalypse: war, famine, pestilence, and death. Apocalypse selects mutants or humans and transforms them both physically and mentally into his horsemen using advanced celestial technology and manipulation. Once chosen, they become terrifying avatars of destruction, utterly loyal to their master. And what makes the Horsemen so memorable is that Apocalypse often chooses familiar characters to serve in these roles, twisting their identities in shocking ways. One of the most famous examples is Angel of the X-Men, who was transformed into Archangel. His wings were replaced with razor-sharp metal ones, and his mind was corrupted, and this transformation had long-lasting effects on Angel's personality and relationships. And the roster of the Horsemen changes constantly. Characters like Wolverine, Gambit, Sunfire, Polaris, and even the Hulk have all served as horsemen at different times, sometimes willingly, but more often as unwilling pawns. Each time Apocalypse rises, he handpicks individuals whose powers, emotional states, or weaknesses make them ripe for transformation. Some are enhanced, others are broken, but all are weaponized. Their purpose is to usher in Apocalypse's philosophy of survival of the fittest. They are tools of judgment and destruction, wiping out the weak and paving the way for a new world order under Apocalypse's rule. Whether sent to annihilate populations, conquer cities, or hunt down fellow mutants, the Horsemen operate with terrifying efficiency and power. Guardians of the Galaxy. They are a band of interstellar heroes who first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1969. Created by writer Arnold Drake and artist Gene Colan. However, the version most people are familiar with today debuted much later in 2008, created by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. This modern team gathers characters from various parts of the Marvel Universe, each bringing unique abilities and backgrounds to form a rather unconventional team. The core members of Guardians of the Galaxy include Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord. He's the leader of the team. He's a human-alien hybrid who was abducted from Earth as a child. Star-Lord is a charismatic and often cheeky leader, skilled in combat and strategy. Gamora, known as the deadliest woman in the galaxy. She was raised by Thanos to be an assassin, but later turns against him and she seeks redemption for her past crimes. Third, we have Drax the Destroyer. Driven by a desire for vengeance against Thanos for the death of his family, Drax possesses superhuman strength and a warrior's spirit. Rocket the Raccoon, a genetically altered raccoon with a penchant for weapons and tactics, and despite his small size, his fierceness and tactical genius are unparalleled. And finally there is Groot, a sentient tree-like creature who can only say "I am Groot", and he's immensely strong and can regenerate from almost any injury, providing both muscle and heart to the team. Together, the Guardians of the Galaxy tackle threats that are often too big, dealing with cosmic foes and complex conflicts that span the galaxy. Their stories are a mix of action, adventure, and plenty of humor, as they often find themselves in bizarre and unpredictable situations. Their popularity surged with the release of the Guardians of the Galaxy film in 2014, directed by none other than James Gunn. The movie was praised for its vibrant visuals, memorable characters, and its soundtrack, which became a character of its own right through Peter Quill's beloved mixtape. The film and its sequels helped redefine expectations for the superhero genre, blending humor with a deep emotional core, all set against a sprawling cosmic backdrop. And this cinematic success has cemented the Guardians of the Galaxy as one of Marvel's most beloved and distinctive teams. Excalibur. A team that blends elements of the X-Men's mutant narrative with British mythology and interdimensional adventures. First appearing in Excalibur Special Edition 1 in 1987, it primarily operates out of the United Kingdom and often deals with threats that extend beyond Earth, exploring alternate realities and mystical dangers. The team was originally formed after the Fall of the Mutants event, during which the X-Men were believed to be dead. Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, and Rachel Summers found themselves stranded in Britain and joined forces with Captain Britain and Megan to form a new team. And unlike the X-Men who focused on mutant rights and political struggles, Excalibur specialized in supernatural threats, multiversal protection, and battling magical or otherworldly forces. Key members of the original team include Captain Britain, a superpowered champion of the UK, Nightcrawler, Shadowcat, a genius-level mutant with intangibility abilities, growing into a more independent leader, Rachel Summers, a powerful telepath and telekinetic, also the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey from an alternate future, and Megan, a fae-like shapeshifter with elemental and empathetic abilities, deeply connected to Britain's magical forces. And in Cross-Time Caper, one of the team's most iconic arcs, Excalibur gets lost across multiple dimensions, encountering alternate versions of themselves and bizarre new realities. And the team was also a part of the Inferno crossover where they fight some demonic invaders. Excalibur has undergone multiple revivals. There's the new Excalibur with Captain Britain, Dazzler, Nocturne, and Sage and Juggernaut, and the Krakoan Excalibur. a new version of the team that was reintroduced in the Dawn of X era, focusing on mutants and magic, with members like Betsy Braddock, now Captain Britain, Rogue, Gambit, Jubilee, Rector, and Apocalypse as an ancient mutant sorcerer. And as the name suggests, this version of Excalibur acts as Krakoa's magical defense team. And this group remains one of Marvel's most unique and beloved superhero teams, the Black Order. A group of powerful and deadly aliens recruited by Thanos to serve as his lieutenants in his quest to conquer and decimate worlds across the universe. They were introduced in Marvel Comics' Infinity storyline in 2013, created by writer Jonathan Hickman and artist Jim Chung. The Black Order plays a critical role in Thanos' operations, carrying out his will with ruthless and efficiency. The members of the Black Order are Corvus Glaive, Thanos' right-hand man, known for his immortality as long as his weapon, a glaive form which he can regenerate, remains intact. Proxima Midnight. She is Corvus Glaive's wife and wields a spear that transforms into an avoidable lethal light. Ebonimo, more of a manipulator than a fighter, he uses intellect and powers of persuasion to bend others to his will. Black Dwarf, later renamed Colobsidian, the powerhouse of the group, known for his incredible strength and invulnerable skin. And Supergiant, a telepathic parasite capable of controlling and devouring the minds of her victims, though she is less frequently featured compared to the other members. Like I said, the Black Order served as Thanos' primary agents during the Infinity event, tasked with retrieving the Infinity Gems. Each member is dispatched to different locations on Earth to battle the planet's defenders and secure the gems. And their presence on Earth marks some of the most intense battles in the comics, showcasing their individual abilities and their unwavering dedication to Thanos' cause. The group was prominently featured in the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. In this adaptation, their roles are slightly altered to fit the cinematic narrative, focusing on their mission to help Thanos gather the Infinity Stones. And the depiction of the Black Order in the MCU introduced them to a broader audience, highlighting their menacing presence and making them well-known villains in the Marvel franchise. Their skills, coupled with their loyalty to Thanos, make them a terrifying force in the Marvel Universe. And to be honest, they are one of my favorite villain groups in the MCU. The Midnight Suns. They are a group of supernatural heroes formed to battle mystical and otherworldly threats. They are closely tied to dark, horror-themed elements of the Marvel Universe and are often associated with characters dealing in magic, demons, or the occult. This group was introduced during the Rise of the Midnight Suns crossover in 1992, which spanned several series including Ghost Rider, Morbius, Darkhold pages from the Book of Sins, Night Stalkers, and Spirits of Vengeance. The team was born in the early 1990s, a time when supernatural and gothic themes were thriving in pop culture. So Marvel capitalized on this trend by creating a darker, horror-focused team to explore the grittier, supernatural side of its universe. Not only that, but this era saw a surge in interest in anti-heroes and morally complex characters, making the Midnight Suns a perfect fit for the time. As for the members, like any other team, the composition of the Midnight Suns has varied throughout the years, but some of the central figures include Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch, both bearers of the Ghost Rider curse, capable of wielding hellfire and executing supernatural justice, Blade the Vampire Hunter, Morbius, a biochemist who, in attempting to cure his own blood disorder, becomes a pseudo-vampire with a thirst for blood but retains his humanity, Doctor Strange, the well-known Sorcerer Supreme. He occasionally aligns with the group, providing significant magical expertise. Other notable members include Damien Hellstorm, Man-Thing, Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, Elsa Bloodstone, and that's just to name a few. Like I mentioned, the Midnight Suns deal with the darker and more horror-oriented aspects of the Marvel Universe, and their missions typically involve vampires and other malevolent supernatural forces, so their adventures are marked by a grittier and darker tone than your usual superheroes. And while the Midnight Suns have not been as prominently featured in mainstream media as other Marvel teams, elements of the group and its characters have appeared in various animated series and video games or even films, such as the movie Morbius, Ghost Rider, and the Disney Plus series Moon Knight, and many other. The concept of this team that delves into the supernatural offers a rich vein of storytelling and provides a counterbalance to the more sci-fi and traditional narratives in superhero media. The Hand. First appearing in Daredevil 174 in 1981, they are an ancient and powerful clan of ninja assassins that originated centuries ago in feudal Japan. Formed as a cult devoted to dark mysticism and martial arts, the Hand quickly grew into a secretive, international crime syndicate that operates from the shadows. They blend deadly combat skills with black magic, and their influence stretches across the globe, infiltrating politics, corporations, and even other criminal organizations. Their true goal goes beyond wealth or control, as they seek to usher in chaos and destruction to serve their demonic masters. Through ancient rituals, they can bring the dead back to life, though often under their control and with their will erased, and this makes them a nearly unstoppable force. This occult element gives them a supernatural edge and ties them to other dark forces in the Marvel universe. The Hand has clashed with many Marvel heroes over the years, but they are mostly closely associated with Daredevil, Wolverine, and Elektra. In fact, both Elektra and Wolverine have been resurrected and manipulated by the Hand at various points in their lives. However, Daredevil's connection runs even deeper. At one point, he took control of the Hand in an attempt to reform from within. However, this move only led to greater moral conflict, showing how dangerous and corrupting the Hand's power truly is. And despite being a cult, the Hand functions like a militarized corporation. They have grandmasters, generals, and foot soldiers who follow orders. Their stealth, discipline, and fearlessness make them some of the most effective killers in the Marvel universe. This organization is responsible for countless assassinations, disappearances, and brutal attacks, often without leaving a trace. And over the years, the Hand has appeared in many major Marvel storylines, including Shadowland, Enemy of the State, and Elektra Assassin, and they've also been adapted in Marvel television, notably in Daredevil and The Defenders, where they played a central role as a shadowy threat behind the scenes. Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight is a Canadian superhero team that first appeared in X-Men 120 in 1979. The team was originally introduced as part of the backstory of Wolverine and later received its own series due to fan interest. Alpha Flight operates as the official superhero team of Canada, funded and sanctioned by the Canadian government. The team's roster has varied over the years, but initially included James Hudson aka Guardian, the leader of the team, Narya aka Snowbird, a demigoddess with the power to transform into any Canadian animal and manipulate snow and ice, Walter Lankowski aka Sasquatch, a scientist who can transform into a large powerful beast resembling the mythical Sasquatch, Michael Youngman aka Shaman, a medicine man with the ability to use magical spells and summon spiritual energy, and Aurora and Northstar, twin siblings with the ability to travel at superhuman speeds, fly, and project photonic energy blasts. Alpha Flight deals with the threats to Canadian soil, and their stories combine elements of science fiction, fantasy, and mythology, so their unique cultural and geographical backdrop offers rich storytelling possibilities that differs from the more commonly depicted American settings in superhero media. The team has not been as prominently featured in mainstream media as other superhero teams, but remains a beloved part of Marvel's lineup. The Sinister Six. One of the most iconic teams of villains in the Marvel comics, primarily known as adversaries of Spider-Man. The group was first introduced in the Amazing Spider-Man Annual 1 in 1964. The Sinister Six was formed by Dr. Octopus, who united individual Spider-Man villains into a single force with the goal of defeating their common enemy through sheer numbers and combined strength. The original Sinister Six consisted of Dr. Octopus, the leader and mastermind behind the group's formation, Vulture, aerial combat specialist with a winged suit, Electro, who controls electricity, Kraven the Hunter, an expert tracker and hunter, Mysterio, master of illusions and trickery, and Sandman, that can manipulate his sand-based body to various forms. The premise of their plan involved each villain taking on Spider-Man individually in a gauntlet-style challenge, hoping to wear him down for the final defeat. However, their inability to work cohesively as a team often led to their downfall, and over the years, the composition of the Sinister Six has seen various incarnations with different leadership and membership, including characters like Hobgoblin, Rhino, and others joining in subsequent formations. And despite the change in rosters, the group's goal has consistently remained the same: to defeat Spider-Man and do more crimes. And the Sinister Six has been adapted into numerous Spider-Man cartoons and video games, each version presenting different lineups and story arcs, and they were slated to appear in their own feature film following the plans laid out in the Amazing Spider-Man film series, although those plans were later shielded with the reintegration of Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where we got the Sinister Five in No Way Home. I guess you can call them that. The Ultimates. A powerful team that focuses on cosmic level threats rather than traditional supervillain battles. First appearing in Avengers Volume 6 Issue 0, this version of the Ultimates should not be confused with the Ultimate Universe version of the team, which serves as a modernized reimagining of the Avengers. Unlike other superhero teams that defend Earth from immediate dangers, the Ultimates deal with threats on a multiversal and cosmic scale. They don't just fight problems, they solve them before they can escalate into universe-ending events. And their work often involves altering reality reality, repairing universal structures, and navigating the fabric of space and time. Members of the team, there's Black Panther, the team's strategist and tactician, providing advanced Wakandan technology and leadership. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, one of the team's most powerful members, acting as their powerhouse and a bridge between Earth and cosmic civilizations. Blue Marvel, a genius-level scientist with antimatter-based powers. Spectrum, a light-based superhero with the ability to transform into any energy form, acting as the team's energy manipulator and scout. And America Chavez, a multiversal traveler with super range, flight, and the ability to open star-shaped portals between dimensions. In their first major mission, rather than battling Galactus, the team transformed him from a world devourer into a life-bringer, reversing his cosmic role and making him a force for creation instead of destruction. And they also had some troubles with the multiverse as they sought to understand the structure of it, leading to encounters with beings like the Living Tribunal, Eternity, and the mysterious First Firmament, the original incarnation of the universe. And in the events of the Eternity War, the team became involved in a conflict that revealed that the Marvel multiverse itself was chained, limiting its evolution and expansion. And their work led to freeing the multiverse from these unseen restrictions. So you get the gist. The team operates at a godlike level of problem solving, interacting sometimes with cosmic forces that most other heroes can't even comprehend. And though their run was relatively short, the Ultimates redefined cosmic storytelling in Marvel Comics, offering a proactive approach to universe-wide threats rather than just reacting to them. The Champions is a team composed of young heroes seeking to redefine what it means to be a superhero. They are known for their grassroots activism, social consciousness, and youthful idealism, and they first appeared in Champions 1 in 2016. While the name Champions was previously used by an unrelated 1970s team featuring heroes like Hercules and Ghost Rider, the mother version is a team of young heroes who broke away from the Avengers to form a more proactive, socially responsible superhero group. They formed after the Civil War II event, where many young heroes became frustrated with the Avengers, political conflicts, and ethical compromises. The team was founded on the principle that superheroes should inspire hope, empower communities, and fight for justice without unnecessary destruction or collateral damage. And that's why the Champions focus on humanitarian efforts, helping everyday people, and standing against systematic injustice. And they have tackled human trafficking, environmental disasters, and international conflicts. And the core founding members of the team, there's Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. She's the team leader, a Pakistani-American hero with polymorphic abilities and a strong sense of justice. There's Miles Morales, Sam Alexander aka Nova, Viv Vision, the daughter of Vision, Amaru Shaw aka Hulk, a teen genius who inherited the Hulk's power but with better control, and young Scott Summers, the time-displaced version of Cyclops, trying to change his future by being a better leader. Later, the team expanded to include Ironheart, Falcon, and Snowguard. In War of the Realms in 2019, the team plays a key role in the Marvel's Asgardian crossover event, showing their ability to handle large-scale threats. And in Outlawed in 2020, the Champions become fugitives after a government law that makes teens heroes illegal, leading to one of their most intense story arcs. And with many Champions members already introduced in the MCU, a Disney Plus series or Young Avengers crossover is highly likely. The Serpent Society debuted in Captain America 310 in 1985. Unlike most villain teams, the Serpent Society operates more like a professional labor union or a corporation for supervillains. All members take on snake-themed personas, and they work together for mutual benefit, offering contracts, protection, and shared resources. Their unique structure set them apart from other chaotic or ego-driven villain groups. From the start, they were portrayed as organized, strategic mercenaries for hire. The original team was formed by Sidewinder, a teleporting villain who envisioned a united network of snake-themed criminals. Founding members included Diamondback, Bushmaster, Cobra, Anaconda, Black Mamba, Ditch Adder, and Rattler. Sidewinder's pitch was simple: no more getting arrested alone or left to rot in jail. The Serpent Society would rescue, support, and protect its members, so long as they followed the rules. And this approach gave the group an edge in consistency and loyalty that most villain teams lacked. Over time, the society evolved, with various internal betrayals and leadership changes. King Cobra eventually overthrew Sidewinder and took command. Viper, another snake-themed villain, also infiltrated and took over the group temporarily, twisting it into a more radical, terroristic version called Serpent Solutions. Some members like Diamondback eventually defected and became heroes. She even had a romantic relationship with Captain America, but most stayed loyal to the society's criminal mission. Each member has their own unique abilities, ranging from super strength and elasticity to toxic gas or deadly bites. They've worked for major villains like Red Skull, AIM, and even corporations looking to hire discreet, deadly operatives. While they often face Captain America and the Avengers, they've also clashed with heroes like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. And though they might not be Marvel's most powerful villain team, the Serpent Society has endured for decades due to their unusual blend of campy gimmick and corporate professionalism. The Defenders. They are a superhero group known for its less conventional lineup and its status as a non-team, with members coming together as needed rather than functioning as a cohesive unit like the Avengers or the X-Men. The Defenders first appeared in Marvel Feature 1 in 1971, created by writer Roy Thomas and artist Ross Andru. The original core members of the Defenders were Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Namor, and later the Silver Surfer. Each of these characters is a powerful entity in their own right, and their combined forces typically tackle supernatural or mystical threats that are often outside the scope of more mainstream superhero teams. And over the years, the roster has seen a wide variety of characters, including Valkyrie, Nighthawk, Hellcat, and many others, reflecting its nature as a flexible and often temporary grouping. The team's missions are usually characterized by a loose alliance, with members joining forces to address specific threats that often require their unique abilities and then disbanding. In popular media, the Defenders gained renewed attention with the 2017 Netflix series, which reimagined the team to include Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. This version of the Defenders focused more on a street-level crime fighting in New York City, contrasting with their often cosmic and mystical threats faced by their comic book counterparts. UFOs. They made their first appearance in Incredible Hulk 254, and their origin is a direct parody of the Fantastic Four. They are a group of 4 individuals who deliberately expose themselves to cosmic rays in an attempt to recreate the Fantastic Four's accident and gain superpowers. However, instead of becoming beloved heroes, their transformation is far more dangerous, unstable, and sinister. Led by Simon Utrecht, a wealthy and power-hungry businessman, the UFOs immediately positioned themselves as threats. The OGs consist of Victor, Vapor, X-Ray, and Ironclad. Victor is the team leader. He can repel anything with telekinetic force, allowing him to throw people, objects, and even energy back at his enemies. Vapor can transform into any gaseous form, often becoming toxic or corrosive substances. X-Ray emits and controls radiation, making him a living radioactive hazard, while Ironclad's body turned into dense metal, granting him immense strength and durability. They are ambitious and power-driven, seeking recognition and dominance. Their confrontations with the Hulk often result in explosive battles, as their abilities are a perfect match for his strength and resilience. And despite being repeatedly defeated, the UFOs never truly go away. They often regroup, evolve, or get pulled into larger villain plots within the Marvel Universe, such as the Dark Reign and Acts of Vengeance storylines. The UFOs stand out because they are mirror opposites of the Fantastic Four, in both origin and personality. While the Fantastic Four gained powers and chose to use them for good, the UFOs emerged twisted, both physically and morally, by the same kind of cosmic exposure. This contrast makes them a compelling thematic rival group, especially when exploring how power corrupts and how intention alone doesn't guarantee heroism. Their arrogance and overconfidence often lead to their downfall, but they remain a persistent threat due to their raw power and loyalty to each other. And their combination of science gone wrong, team synergy, and raw destructive ability keeps them relevant, especially in Hulk-centric stories. A-Force. It's Marvel's all-female superhero team, first introduced in A-Force 1 in 2015. The team was initially formed as part of the Secret Wars event, but later received an ongoing series that integrated them into the main Marvel universe, Earth 616. A-Force was created as an all-women superhero team, showcasing some of Marvel's most powerful female characters working together. And unlike other teams that organically grew over time, A-Force was designed from the start to be an all-female powerhouse. So like I mentioned, the team was first assembled during Secret Wars, where they protected Arcadia, a domain ruled by She-Hulk. However, after Secret Wars, the team transitioned into Earth 616 continuity and operated like the Avengers, handling major threats to the world. The team has had a rotating roster, but the core members include She-Hulk, the team leader, a lawyer with Hulk-level ish strength and strategic prowess, Captain Marvel, Medusa, the Queen of the Inhumans, Alison Blair aka Dazzler, a mutant who can convert sound into light and energy blasts, Nico Minoru from the Runaways, and Singularity, a mysterious cosmic entity who resembles a sentient pocket universe, serving as the team's emotional core and providing teleportation across dimensions. Other members have included Spider-Woman, Storm, Rogue, Scarlet Witch, and Black Widow, depending on the mission. And in Civil War II, the team becomes involved in the conflict between Captain Marvel and Iron Man, leading to internal tensions and disbandment. A-Force is one of Marvel's most progressive and diverse superhero teams, providing a platform for female-led narratives, without simply being a gender-swapped Avengers. And in Avengers Endgame, there was an A-Force moment where Marvel's female heroes unite during the battle against Thanos, hinting at a possible Disney Plus series or maybe a movie adaptation, who knows. X-Force. Created by writer Fabian Nicieza and artist Rob Liefeld and first appearing in Marvel Comics' New Mutants 100 in 1991. X-Force is a more militant and aggressive counterpart to the peacekeeping X-Men. Initially led by the time-traveling mutant Cable, X-Force was conceived as a proactive strike team that engages threats before they could endanger mutant kind. The original lineup of X-Force included characters from the later issues of New Mutants, such as Cannonball, Domino, Warpath, and Shatterstar, with each member bringing their own unique combat skills and powers into the fray. And over the years, the roster has seen many changes, including notable members like Wolverine, Deadpool, and Psylocke, reflecting the team's evolving mission and the shifting dynamics within the mutant community. Their operations are characterized by a willingness to make the hard choices and take actions that the more mainstream superhero teams might avoid. This has often placed them in morally ambiguous situations, dealing with complex themes of security versus freedom, and the ethics of preemptive action. Their stories are action-packed, featuring high-stakes espionage and combat scenarios that delve into darker and edgier aspects of the Marvel Universe. The team has also been featured in various media, especially in Deadpool 2. In the movie, Deadpool decides to form his own version of X-Force to protect a young mutant from Cable, who has traveled back in time with intentions to kill the boy. Deadpool 2 uses the concept of X-Force with a characteristic blend of humor and irreverence, which differs from the typically more serious and combat-focused tone of the team in the comics. The movie version of X-Force serves both as a parody of and a tribute to the original team, which helped introducing the group to a broader audience. The Runaways. They are a team of superpowered teenagers who band together after discovering their parents are part of an evil crime organization known as the Pride. They first appeared in Runaways 1 in 2003, and the series has been praised for its fresh take on the superhero genre and its focus on diverse, relatable young characters navigating both the challenges of adolescence and the complexities of their newfound abilities. The original lineup of the Runaways includes Alex Wilder, a strategic genius without superpowers who initially leads the group, Nico Minoru, a witch who can cast spells with her Staff of One, Carolina Dean, an alien from the Magdanian race who can manipulate solar energy, Gertrude Yorks, who has a telepathic link with a genetically engineered dinosaur named Old Lace, Chase Stein, who possesses vestigans, high-tech gloves that create fire and later acquires X-ray goggles, and Molly Hayes, a mutant with superhuman strength and invulnerability. Throughout its run, the Runaway series has seen several roster changes, and the team often grapples with the moral ambiguities of their parents' legacy while forging their own path as heroes. The series is notable for its character-driven storytelling and for dealing with social issues relevant to a younger audience. It brought a new style of storytelling to Marvel and made the young heroes sympathetic and relatable. The Runaways was adapted into a television series by Hulu, which premiered in 2017 and ran for 3 seasons. The show expanded on the themes of the comics and brought the characters and their stories to a wider audience. The Masters of Evil, a prominent supervillain team that is primarily known as adversaries of the Avengers. The group was introduced in the Avengers 6 in 1964. The Masters of Evil was conceived by Baron Heinrich Zemo, a Nazi scientist and enemy of Captain America, as a counterforce to challenge the Avengers and execute his plans of vengeance and world domination. One of the most important events that both hurt and helped the Masters of Evil was when Baron Zemo avoided being caught after they lost to the Avengers. The members of the group were arrested, leaving Zemo alone to continue their mission. However, this made the former members lose trust in him and feel resentful. As a result, the group fell apart, which hurt their reputation among other villain groups. After the Crimson Call became the new leader of the Masters of Evil, but they ended up facing the same problems as before. Other notable incarnations and leaders include Heinrich and Helmut Zemo, as both father and son have led versions of the Masters of Evil, with Helmut Zemo's leadership during the Under Siege storyline being especially notable for its intensity and the psychological impact on the Avengers. Ultron, the rogue AI created by Avenger Hank Pym, has also assembled a version of the Masters of Evil, using the teams as pawns in its wider schemes against humanity. And Dr. Octopus, who is known primarily as a Spider-Man villain, but led a version version of the Masters of Evil in an attempt to expand his influence over the criminal underworld. The group have been involved in numerous major story arcs within the Marvel Comics. One of the most significant is the Under Siege storyline. Like I mentioned, where the team under Helmut Zemo's leadership invades and occupies Avengers Mansion, leading to the dramatic confrontations and deep personal losses for the Avengers. And this storyline is often cited for its depth and emotional resonance, showcasing the dangers and personal stakes involved in the lives of superheroes. And while the Masters of Evil have not been featured as prominently in film or television as individual members like Baron Zemo or Ultron, they have appeared in various animated series and video games, where they are portrayed as formidable opponents to the Avengers and other superheroes. And these adaptations often highlight the diverse and dynamic nature of the team, adapting various lineups and storylines from the comics. Illuminati. It's a secretive group consisting of some of the most powerful and intelligent characters who work behind the scenes to manage and sometimes manipulate major events in the world. The group first appeared in New Avengers 7 in 2005, and their primary aim is to strategize and act on threats to Earth and the universe that they deem too large or complex for any one hero or regular team to handle. They often operate in the shadows, keeping their existence and decisions secret from even their closest allies and teams. The original roster of the Illuminati includes Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt the King of the Inhumans, Namor the King of Atlantis, Professor X, and Mr. Fantastic. They represent a cerebral counterpart to the more physically powerful superhero teams like the Avengers, dealing with cosmic-scale threats and moral dilemmas that test the limits of power and responsibility. But their actions have often been controversial within the Marvel Universe, bringing up ethical questions about power and governance. Their methods sometimes lead to significant consequences, such as when their decision to launch Hulk into space led to the World War Hulk storyline, where an enraged Hulk returns to seek vengeance against them. The Illuminati hasn't been fully featured in a movie or a proper adaptation, but in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, in a fan-servicey moment, they showed up only to die, and by die I mean not a normal PG-13 MCU death, but horribly die at the hands of Scarlet Witch. And the concept of a group like the Illuminati pulling strings from behind the scenes could potentially be a significant plot element in future Marvel films. Agents of Atlas. Originally introduced in What If 9 in 1978 as a reimagining of Marvel's 1950s characters, the team was later integrated into mainstream Marvel continuity in Agents of Atlas 1 in 2006. The team operates in secrecy, handling hidden threats, mystical artifacts, and global conspiracies. So the original Agents of Atlas were a 1950s superhero team, but their existence was erased from public history. The modern team was later reassembled by Jimmy Woo, a SHIELD agent and former FBI operative, who uncovered his past connection to the group. The team work in the shadows, often dealing with hidden alien forces, ancient threats, and covert missions that influence global politics. As of the members, there's Jimmy Woo, the leader of the team, with strong ties to espionage and global security. There's Ken Hell, aka Gorilla Man, a former mercenary cursed to live as an immortal talking gorilla with enhanced strength. Namora, a half-Atlantean warrior and cousin of Namor, possessing super strength and aquatic abilities. The Human Robot, aka M11, a sentient robot with deadly energy weapons and an evolving sense of morality. Novar, aka Marvel Boy, a Kree warrior from an alternate dimension wielding advanced alien technology. And Venus, a mystical being who resembles the goddess Aphrodite, using her powers of persuasion and emotional manipulation. Later, the team expanded with new heroes from Asian mythology and culture, including Amaris Joe, Silk, Shang-Chi, Iroh, Swordmaster, and Wave. So Jimmy Woo uncovers the erased history of the original team, leading to a reunion and their first mission against the Yellow Claw. And in the Secret Invasion tie-in, the team battles Skrull infiltrators, proving that their influence extends beyond Earth-based threats. And in Dark Reign and the war with Norman Osborn, the Agents of Atlas become an underground resistance force, fight Norman Osborn's corrupt regime. And in Atlas Rising and the new Agents of Atlas, the team is rebranded with Amaris Cho, leading Asian superheroes to protect the Pacific Rim and some hidden supernatural realms. So the team focuses on Asian superheroes and characters from various cultural backgrounds, making it one of Marvel's most diverse teams. And thanks for watching.